When you go traveling and you meet people, as far as those people you meet are concerned, you could be some crazy, exotic entrepreneur from the other side of the world with all these interesting, fresh, new ideas. And you can really lean into that if you want to. Hello there, my name is James Michael Smith, and welcome to Shy Guy Travel. And a lot of people, when they hear that title, they go, travel, I get that part, but you liar, you're not shy. Well, let me explain. It's something to do with the title, Shy Guy Travel. Now, I am shy, but one of the ways in which I've been able to overcome my social anxiety is through traveling. There are two main reasons why going traveling really helps you in terms of overcoming your social anxiety. Trial and error, the blank slate. First of all, I'd like to establish my shy credentials. Let me take you back to when I was in university. When I was in university, I had crippling social anxiety. And when I mean crippling, let me explain what I mean. When I was in my student accommodation, I was living in my own room, but we had a communal kitchen. And what would happen is sometimes it would get towards dinner time and I would hear somebody in the kitchen making food or doing whatever. And I was struggling so much with my anxiety that I would prefer to go hungry rather than go and have that social interaction. So I would stay in my room rather than go and feed my belly. I think you'd agree that's pretty serious. Thankfully, I'm not in that position anymore. There are still from time to time where I might have some, little niggle, little nervousness, a little bit of anxiety, but nowhere near as debilitating as it used to be. Traveling has helped me overcome that. First of all, where does social anxiety come from? Recently, a Substacker called Richard Hanania, a writer and policy analyst, put up a Substack about this very issue. And he's dealing with some of the same problems that I had. And he was talking about the ways that he overcame social anxiety. And he put it down to a evolutionary maladaptation. What do we mean by that? So first of all, our social anxiety is our body's response to a situation that it thinks is going to kill it. We have evolved to thrive in tribal communal systems, not a globalist system of human interaction. In antiquity, your physical integrity was tied up with your tribe and your community. So if you had no social anxiety in that kind of situation, you would have no kind of filter for your behavior, and you would get yourself in trouble and likely banished and probably killed. If you stepped on that person's toes, if you asked out the wrong girl, you could have your head bashed in at best. But humanity has developed so fast in terms of technology and expansion that we still have these old systems. They may not be super efficient for our purposes in the modern day, but we still have to deal with it. So what do we do? In our globalist society, the costs of pissing someone off are not as great as it once was back when we were hunter-gatherers. If we piss off that guy, we piss him off. He's not likely, thanks to our laws, that he's going to bash us over the head. We're not likely to be banished. And even if we are socially ostracized from a group, we can easily go and find another one. But we still have to deal with this anxiety. First of all, realize that this is where the social anxiety is coming from. It's your body trying to protect you. So it's not your fault. It's not a weakness. It's your body working properly. But you've got to remind yourself that it's not efficient. You've got to tell yourself, okay, this is not rational. That's the first step. The second step is trial and error. A little bit at a time. Experiments. Gradually, slowly getting used to social situations and expanding that action more and more. For example, when you go traveling. When I first went traveling, it was sometime after I graduated university. I went by myself, which was the absolute best decision ever, because then I was forced to actively go out and seek social interaction. Luckily, if you stay in hostels, it's kind of like a natural social scientific lab in which you can test yourself in these kind of situations. And the best thing is the cost is really, really low. Everybody you meet in a hostel room, they're going to be there for on average 2 or 3 days. or you'll be off in 2 or 3 days. So if you mess it up with one person in this 8 to a room, doesn't really matter. There'll be somebody coming again tomorrow, which you can try something else. Okay, that didn't really work, so but it doesn't matter. They're off anyway. Oh, excuse me. So you can make these small little experiments every day, and you can expand what you're capable of every day. And that's basically what I did. And it came to the point where when I was staying in hostels, when I was in Australia, I got so used to this interaction process, I started to really embrace it and love it and enjoy meeting people. And you just come out and stuff. So who are you then? That kind of thing. And people are okay with that because you're on the same boat, and it's just socially acceptable for you to go and do that, to speak to strangers and make friends straight away, because that's the hostel life. So it's absolutely recommended, if you want to overcome your social anxiety, to go and do this at least once in your life. Go traveling and stay in hostels. Point number 2, the blank slate. Our view of ourselves is inherently informed by where we've grown up and how other people have seen us. Usually we grow up with the same kind of people, and then you feel like your character is defined within a certain way. And this often happens when you're in high school. You're perceived a certain way, and then when people go to university, they can feel like they come into their own and really be themselves, and they can come back from university and they're like, who is this person? A similar kind of thing happens when you go traveling, because when you go traveling and you meet people, as far as those people you meet are concerned, you could be some crazy, exotic entrepreneur from the other side of the world with all these interesting, fresh, new ideas. And you can really lean into that if you want to. For example, in China, people are very curious about you naturally if you are a foreigner. People will ask you, apart from where you're from and what are you doing in China, it's like, yeah, well, what do you think about China? What are the cultural differences? And you can compare these sort of things, and you have that natural curiosity that people have, regardless of really the social background, the stereotypes of Chinese and Western culture, because there's no reference. It's very difficult to put that in context. So it's more likely they're going to see you as just another human being. It just happens to be from a different country. What you can do is you can almost reinvent yourself. If you go to a place where you're really treated best, as Andrew Henderson says, and you can become the person that you really want to be. So now I have traveled a lot, and I'm a lot more confident, with some caveats. I'm still an introvert, which is different from having social anxiety. An introvert is somebody who loses energy from social interaction. You can go from somebody with social anxiety, where you're having a social interaction is actively prohibited by your fear, to being somebody who can go into social interactions if you can, but not if you don't want to. And that's okay too. It's still okay to be an introvert. And you don't need to be an introvert necessarily to have social anxiety. You can tell when an extrovert has social anxiety when they respond to a social interaction by going over the top with the agreeableness and blabbering on and just being generally a bit of a try-hard. You know what I mean? You know, the kind of guy that laughs a bit too hard at your jokes, like oh, that kind of thing. You know that person has social anxiety too. But it's okay. It's okay. And it's the same kind of remedy for extroverts as well in this kind of situation as well. That's just one thing that you can improve in your life by traveling. There are in fact many other things, including your career, your love life, your general sense of adventure, and your mind, opening your mind. Okay, there's so many things to recommend about traveling other than the Instagram pictures, which is why I wrote this book, The Shy Guy's Guide to Traveling: Overcome Your Fears and See the World. It talks about some of the reasons why you might want to go traveling. It also talks about some of the obstacles that people have when they think about going traveling. Will I not have enough money? Will I be too shy? One example, what will people think? And it talks about some of the ways in which you can overcome those obstacles to get out there and really embrace your adventure. It's available on Amazon, links in the description. Kindle too. If you can't access Amazon, if you're from China, for example, and you can't access Amazon, send me a message on Instagram. So that's it. That's how you can become more confident through traveling, and may explain why I'm called Shy Guy Travel, even though apparently I'm not shy, but I kind of am. Okay, cheers. Bye bye.